Hello everyone, welcome to the Planecious Leaders Walk the Talk. I am Rohit Korat, the founder of the Planecious Leaders series, where we celebrate the inspiring leaders who are driving positive change towards a more sustainable future. Today we have with us Alicia Dauth, who is a chartered environmentalist with extensive experience in environmental management, particularly in water assurance and certification. She has participated as a moderator and panelist at various forums, including the MENA Stormwater and Wastewater Forum and Global Clean Cities Expo in Dubai. Alicia holds a master's in environmental engineering and specializes in water risk management, contributing to numerous international projects related to water. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's
Thank you.
have a, yeah, thanks a lot. So let's get started and have a thoughtful conversation. So, what inspired you to pursue a career in environmental consultancy? Can you describe your journey to becoming a chartered environmentalist and what motivated you to specialize in water assurance and certifications?
Yes, so my journey began a number of years ago back in California, which is where I'm from. And I actually was really interested in hazardous waste and the interaction it had with the environment. So I started off working as a hazardous waste technician, which meant I would respond to any hazardous spills within California. And I think that sort of stemmed me to say, okay, what actually happens to the environment when these hazardous spills occur? Of course, we go and we clean it up, we remediate anything that's been contaminated, but I actually wanted to dig a little bit deeper. So I decided I would pursue my degree in environmental studies and science, as well as going on into environmental engineering, so I could help develop solutions of managing different waste streams. So that's what really, sort of led me to follow the path that I'm on. Back home in California, I did a number of jobs. I would sometimes go to old fuel stations that had been closed down, that had leaking underground storage tanks, and I would sample those wells to determine the levels of gasoline pollutants within the groundwater. So I did anything that I could to be involved, to strengthen my knowledge around water quality. And I think this is where it really began. And I'd like to think that it's flourished from there, but I definitely had always had an idea that I wanted to do something related to the environment, and then consultancy sort of allowed me to get a broad coverage of that. And then I said, you know what, my most favorite topic and natural resource, and I think it's all of ours, besides air, is water, because it's something that can really impact our life, impact the environment. So this is why I decided to really specialize on water quality, water stewardship, water assurance, anything related to water. It's all connected, so you can't do any wrong when you're on the topic of water, because it has such a heavy influence over all sectors. So it's actually very exciting for me to be part of the water conversation, advise businesses of all sizes in all sectors on how they can manage their water and sort of that stewardship that they should have from a water perspective, because we all have a role to play.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you see the role of water governance evolving in the face of increasing environmental challenges? Like, what strategies can be implemented to enhance governance frameworks?
Yes, so that's something that I think everybody is now fully aware of, because we've seen how much damage water can do, whether there's too much of it, or whether there's not enough of it. And then also when the water quality is in poor condition, how much effort and infrastructure and technology it takes us to get the water to where we need to use it, for whatever needs, mostly for our access and our sanitation needs for water. So I think water governance is evolving. I think more companies are talking about it. I think, back in the United States, on a federal level, it might not be as strong, but definitely on a state and a city level, I think a lot of action is being taken. I think here in the Middle East, where I'm currently located, I definitely think water is something that's a consideration for many. We are in a situation where we have the finance and technology to desalinate water for our needs. However, we still have groundwater resources that should be protected, and we shouldn't, completely avoid that. Water challenges will come at some point, and we will face them. So I know that role, what we're trying to face now is a water quality issue. And I know that this is what many countries are also facing, because even if they have flooding, they have too much water, they still face water quality issues. And that also goes for wastewater quality. So I think we should not forget that water is talking about water that we can use, the wastewater, which isn't really a waste, it also can be used, how we can be more circular. So I think some of these strategies can be implemented at a governance level is circular water. That's something that we all need to look at a little bit more. Circular water, as well as harnessing smart water solutions.
Right, absolutely right, yeah. So what are the most pressing water risks we face today, like particularly in the UAE? How can this risk be effectively managed?
So I think our risk is wastewater. We did see when we had quite a lot of flooding earlier this year that we did have a lot of runoff stormwater, and which also caused an overflow of wastewater as well, and then everything gets mixed together. So I think we have that challenges with we don't have enough renewable water resources going in, but when we do, we haven't fully activated how we can renew and recharge groundwater resources, but also how do we manage any runoff water, capture it, hopefully store and treat it, and not let it discharge to sea without being treated. So I think that's quite a big risk, as well as how do we provide more awareness for citizens on responsible consumption of water, because it is a precious resource. It is affordable, so I think people tend to forget the true value of water, and just expect it to always be there in plentiful amounts, which I believe that we should all sort of take more ownership of our water consumption at a home level. There is quite a lot we can do at a home level, and also responsible conduct by businesses on how they use their water and how they should reuse it at home, at their facilities, as well as, making sure that all their employees are also trained and aware of responsible water use.
Okay, so how important is stakeholder engagement in water management, and what methods do you recommend for involving communities in decision-making processes?
So stakeholder engagement, I think in any environmental outlook is important, because it's something that we're providing water for the community, we're providing water for the companies. So we need to understand everybody's challenges. We need to disclose our information and our data, and be transparent. I don't think that there's anything to hide, because water is that shared resource. So we all have the right to know of who's using what, the quality of that water, and sort of who's discharging the wastewater and where they're discharging it, or how they're managing water at a site level is something that I think that needs to be communicated more to everybody. We all have the right to know what's happening with that water. So I think if we are looking of what practices that we can use is I'm starting to engage with many more companies that want to have a more water stewardship approach, and stakeholder engagement is a key component of that to result in the outcomes that you want to achieve from having water stewardship on the site. And disclosure is one of them, getting people involved, but also giving them that awareness and training, like I mentioned earlier, because in most cases, people want to get involved or people want to do the right thing. But if they don't know about it, it's difficult for them to make those choices. So I think it's also the responsibility of these companies that might be large water consumers or might possibly have an impact on water resources if it's not managed carefully, try to give back and communicate, as well as understand with other sectors on how they can maybe cross collaborate, because in a lot of ways somebody's waste could be another factory's treasure, for example. Maybe it could be something that they could use. So this is that circular approach that we're trying to say, how can we really integrate and make sure that there is no waste? And if it's a waste for this operation, could it be a benefit in another operation? So I think stakeholder engagement and just communication will really alleviate some of the stresses that is put on our water infrastructure that we have in place here. We shouldn't be putting all that pressure on that. We should also be managing our water at a site level, and that will allow pressure off of infrastructure that could be used for other means.
Okay, awesome. So, you touched based upon the integrated water resource. So, what are the significant challenges or risks you face in integrated water resource management, and how do you address them?
Yeah, so some of the issues that are faced, I would say primarily is to water quality, because each sector has a different quality of water that they need for their operation, which means effluent from their site might be of a different quality. And so I think that's a big challenge, is because it's quite easy just to continue getting water from our DIWA. If you're in Dubai or any other municipality within the UAE, it's easy just to get the water to your site. But like I said before, I think at a site level, we should be looking beyond that, and how can we reuse the water at a site, or how can we keep it in a quality that can be used in another part of the operation or in another facility altogether. So I would recommend that communication and working groups and workshops are all something that are at a site level, and then they can also influence others to do the right thing. And once that dialogue is taking place, I think a lot of people will realize there's a lot of benefits that can come from this communication. And I think that this is something that is becoming a little bit more conscious to sites, because if their whole operation relies on water or around it, or they need it, they have to start making a plan on how they're going to adapt their business and mitigate it from any water risks, which would be physical risks, which is all the water quality issues. It's about making sure that we're in environmental compliance with the regulatory agencies, and it's just that we're doing the right thing as well.
Awesome. So absolutely right. Yeah. So what trends do you foresee in water management and environmental sustainability over the next few years?
So some of the trends that I believe will be urban water management. So at a built environment level and urban level, on how we sort of decentralize our water treatment, because at the moment we have lots of water going and coming from different locations through sometimes lengthy piping distribution. And I think it would be beneficial, and from other case studies that from other areas in the Middle East that have sort of adopted decentralizing wastewater treatment, for example, have managed to reduce their carbon emissions as well. Because the moment you sort of remove piping or tanker trucks or whatever it might be from that whole water system, you're also reducing your carbon emissions. So, and it also gives a little bit more ownership for communities or sites to be responsible, because when they're having to face and deal with a water quality issue, they're more likely to do it right, and they're more likely to do the right thing, because it comes at a cost for them. But if they do the right thing from the beginning on the site, then I think that they'll feel the benefits of that, and they'll have more control of their water resources and be more conscious of how they're using the water resources. Because the minute you become responsible for managing something, you you're going to do it a little bit correctly. You're going to do it right because you want to, make sure that you're getting the best water quality. And if it's put on you, then I think that's a way to get people a little bit more engaged and value water.
Yeah. So how can technology play a more significant role in addressing water scarcity and promoting sustainable practices?
So technology is I think one of the most important things that we must sort of harness. Now, not all technology will work for every scenario, but even something like smart leak detection is sort of the first line of defense. Okay, let's make sure we don't have leaks. Nobody wants to be wasting water through leaks. And I think that sort of technology is definitely something that's catching on more. We have, the smart water, which would be in your house at a household level, your fixtures, attending to your maintenance. And I think DEWA, and I heard this on another panel last week, and I didn't know it, but maybe it's something people aren't aware of, but on your DEWA bill, they will tell you how you're doing in water consumption compared to your neighbors, how you're doing overall, the household level. I think that's a great initiative. To really harness that smart water, because people aren't really aware. Yeah, we pay the water bill, but we really don't. Do we really know how much water that is? And then if you're saying, wow, my neighbor is doing better. If my neighbor is doing better, I can do better. And it gets people to really get on board and to think about it. So technology can come in many different ways. We have, it access on our phones. It's, how much we want to embrace that technology. Also technology that can help, to detect water quality without actually having to always sample it. When water levels are going up to reduce flooding, you have that technology to let you know that, okay, flooding will happen in these areas. We can learn from our mistakes. Where is flooding prone to happen next time if it does? Can we anticipate the water quality depending on where that flooding is going to be and what's around there? So that technology is exciting. Sometimes it can be overwhelming because people then don't know what technology to use in each case. But I think if you find that technology, and it doesn't always have to be high tech, it doesn't always have to be some amazing expensive system. It can be something as simple as awareness and your cell phone, a GPS. It can be simple. It's just a matter of finding that technology, how it will benefit what your intending outcome should be. Again, and that's another thing. If people know the risks that they're going to have with that water, what technology will be the best? If they know that they have bad water quality, that's what they should be looking for. So it's also about knowing your water risks and then saying this is the technology best to address that water risk.
Wow, okay. So, how do cultural differences influence environmental practices and sustainability efforts in the region you work in?
Yes. So, water doesn't have any boundaries, it doesn't have any, it's something that we all need. I could safely say it's something that we all believe in and we all need. Is water, because it's part of our daily lives. Now, of course, water might mean something culturally different to everyone, which is fine. But I believe that we should all have the common understanding that it should be an equitable resource, meaning something that's available to all in a water quality of a condition that is safe for us. So that's sometimes a difficult topic to tackle, because some believe that others should have more water than others, or I think some people think that, well, this is our right to have this water because it's maybe come from our watershed or whatever it might be. But these transboundary relationships should be important, and the cultural barriers are always a challenge. But I believe, and I think, and I hope in the next 15 years, those sort of challenges start to diminish, because we all need to come to the understanding that whatever our beliefs are, we all need water to sustain ourselves, to sustain our environment. We need it for a healthy, sustainable growth. We know that the population will continue to grow. We're going to require more water resources, not just for our potable needs, but for all of our other domestic needs as well. So it's really something that within the work that we do here in the Middle East, it's a bit of a challenge just to convey this message of why we should save water, because some cultures might think that, no, let's just use it now. They might not be fully aware of some of the water quality impacts that they might have, or the impact that they have on the environment, which could cause poor water quality and damage to biodiversity and ecosystem. So I think once we can come to a common language, which I think it's something is evolving, it's becoming, our kids are being educated now, it's becoming more streamlined. I hope in the next 10, 15 years, it's something that we can all just agree on and something we can all just make peace for.
Okay, so are there any upcoming projects or initiatives you are particularly excited and about that aim to enhance sustainability in the region you work in?
Yes, so there's lots happening, which is great. And next year in Abu Dhabi, they'll be hosting the UN Water Conference, which is actually a great milestone, because I know water conversation, and the last UN Water Conference that happened last year was like the first one in many years. And so it's really going to be an honor to have it here. But I know the initiatives are spanning across all sectors. So whether it's coming from food security, it's a topic. Waste management, it's a topic. Energy, water is a topic. So water is having this influence through all the initiatives that are being part of the UAE's sustainable vision. And not even the UAE, KSA as well, they have their 2030 vision. Water is a huge influence to achieve all those initiatives. So that's what I find exciting, is that there's always something happening, and water always has a part to play in all of that. So something that I'm a little bit excited about is trying to bring more water stewardship certification to the Middle East, because a certification really allows a site and a sector to understand their influence that they have on water and on the community. So I believe that it's sort of that stamp of acknowledgement that a site can do to say, yes, we do care about water, and this is what we're doing for it, and they're following a streamlined approach, and this is how they're communicating with it. So over the next few months, sort of be promoting why water certifications and how they can benefit at a site level, why we should be aware of it, how it will help us adapt to the climate change that we're in now, and set that sort of resilience that we need for our future. So water certification is something that I'm working on for the next few months, and then I hope it'll grow there. And not just another certification for a checkbox. This is something that is voluntary, but it's going to come with a lot of benefits for companies as well.
Yeah, okay. Amazing. It's been like inspiring and insightful conversation we had. And like I would say that my audience will love this conversation. And one more question I just want to add. Like last month, I was reading about the microplastics like in the oceans that was found in the that dolphins breathe. So there are a lot of pressing challenges. It's been like occurring nowadays, and so what do you say about that? Because I was just going through like some couple of articles with respect to the waters, like what is happening within the water. So like within the air also, like now like we found that microplastics are there, and like now in the ocean also, like the fishes and the like all the marine like the marine life is getting impacted because of the microplastics.
Yeah, and microplastics isn't a new thing. So, funnily enough, and I searched in my emails a few weeks ago, and everybody laughed at me when the first article about microplastics came out. I emailed it to my family 13 years ago on microplastics. It was like a very brief segment in an environmental journal. I immediately was like, this sounds dangerous. This sounds not good. Like, I sent it to everybody, and they kind of like, this is ridiculous. Like, come on, this is ridiculous. Over the years, we saw how ridiculous it wasn't. And I think it was concerning. People don't want to believe things that are concerning because it's easier just to ignore it. But it is a problem. But, as PFAS, which are the forever chemicals that are also an issue within our water systems, I'm hopeful that we will have technology available to be able to remove microplastics. Now, of course, that's difficult to do to communities that rely on, some of that surface water for their needs, and they won't have that technology because microplastics isn't just happening in the ocean. It can happen in lakes, anywhere that there's plastic and it's under the right conditions. And then, of course, how it's getting into our food chains, not just for us, but like you earlier said as well, is for the natural systems, the ecosystems, marine biodiversity especially. So it is frightening. And unfortunately, I don't think that there's one way we're going to be able to solve it now. But being aware was the first step. The solutions that we have available is the second step. Now, how are we going to get those solutions out where it needs to go? That will be the challenge. But yeah, it's definitely something that's sad to see. But I think a lot of the damage has already been done. So now it's about responding to what's been done and being in a position to be able to be prepared and respond without anything else coming up that's too big. So I think if we're already in the situation, we can't remove ourselves from that. However, planning and response preparedness is what we really need to be considering and working on as well.
So I think that's a challenge that everybody is having right now, and we need to just mitigate that as soon as possible, because a lot of environmentalists is working on that. And so exactly. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Alicia, and it was an amazing conversation. And so this whole exercise, this session, the Planecious leaders is we started in May month, and just to educate the audience, or the people who are not aware about the sustainability and the sustainable development goals. And so we are creating this platform, and where people can share their experiences, and the audience can get the insightful information from this, and they can implement there in day-to-day life. So
amazing.
That's what the mission is. And so we are we are a sustainable advertising and designing agency, and we are doing this educational marketing, and so that's our mission. And in 5 years, we want to have more than 500 interviews, so that's what
amazing.
We are doing.
That's great. Keep it up. That's an important piece of the puzzle, is awareness and just spreading the word. And there's so much amazing things happening around. So don't get me wrong. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's just about getting the information out, getting people aware, getting people to care as well, and that's a big thing. So I really appreciate you reaching out to me. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to share my thoughts.
I'm honored to have you on this platform. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll chat soon. Keep in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.